Chalo, let's go ahead with Paradise Lost. Okay, back to our literary epic by Milton. Right. So, yesterday, a major part of Milton that we saw from Paradise Lost was all about demigods, false gods, idol worship. So, yes, every chunk of the part one that we are reading has a specific ideas that are propagated very vehemently. Something that we can also anticipate that could also form a very expected question in the exam, because there is an entire section that is devoted to the idea of false gods, that is idol worship. So this is completely in alignment with what Bible says. All right, considering it is an influence from Bible, and hence there would be there. Oh, for PhD only. Oh, lovely. That's amazing. Congratulations, Mayank. That's good. Great. That's nice. So I hope Gate went well. Net, that's PhD is, of course, good. I really hope that you get through a good university if you're planning for PhD. PhD is a quite time consuming process. So whatever suits you guys the best. I mean, if you need any guidance for PhD, do let me know. I'll be there. All right, chalo, let's go ahead with it. So thus they, breathing united force with fixed thought, moved on in silence to soft pipes that charmed, and then goes ahead to a flagra with the heroic race were joined. All right. So let's go ahead with Milton continues to depict Satan's army as it advances in disciplined silence. Now, one thing is, all right, I know it's okay, Mayank. No worries. Paper बहुत tough आया था. As far as I know, a lot of my students have told me that, ma'am, the paper was really tough, and net ka paper is not easy to crack. I totally get that, but I think this attempt is there. So the best part about net is कि आप जितना भी attempt दे सकते, prepare well, and I'm sure that it would come out to be good. All right, whatever happens, happens for the best. Maybe net wants you to prepare more hard. Will can benefit a UPSC. So yesterday we also did one thing very important, that these people, they are now to be motivated. They are not to get that energy back, wherein they have to focus on how to win this war. Of course, they know that this is a very powerful enemy that they have. They cannot, no matter what they do, forever. The downfall cannot happen. However, there could be agitation. There could be all kind of sins in the world, so that always keeps God on toes, if we could say that. All right. So Milton continues to depict Satan's army as it advances in disciplined silence. Can you see the word discipline being used for Satan's army? That's a very sharp way to talk about it. So breathing united forces with fixed thought, moved on in silence to soft pipe that charmed the painful steps of the burnt soil, and now advance and view they stand a horrid front. Can you see the words that are used for an army that is going to do something evil? But however, even to do that evil, they have to have discipline. They have to have fixed thought, very fixated in mind, very determined. So even if you're supposed to do anything bad, you got to be very determined to do anything bad. Nothing can happen in indiscipline. That is what the text is also telling us. That their collective resolve, breathing united force, they all are together, breathing united force. Sab saath mein, the same breath. Everybody is counting on the fact that hame jeetna hai. Accompanied by the enchanting melodies of soft pipes, the music eases the painful march of the fallen angels across the burning, desolate soil of hell. As they are moving, the host comes into view as a formidable and terrifying front, stretching out with dazzling armor, spears, and shields. They are likened to ancient warriors. Okay, please look at the words that are being used. There could be a question on how how Milton has depicted Satan army as an army of warriors, comrades, warriors. Look at the terms that are being used. They are not being addressed in a derogatory manner, in a condescending manner, but being tagged as heroes, warriors. Okay, standing in perfect order, not indiscipline, perfect order, and awaiting the commands of their leader, Satan. All right, so that is how it is. So, Satan serving the immense and disciplined army. Satan is very proud of his army. and he's know that no matter what, we are going ahead on a very evil way. We have to combat it, but in a very disciplined manner. Moves among the ranks, casting experience and critical gaze over their formations. He notes their divine-like stature, their countenances, उनके जो divine-like stature, उनके जो facial features हैं, their number overwhelming, बहुत सारे हैं. The fallen angels are too many. क्योंकि जब इन लोगों ने rebel शुरू किया था ना, Satan और Beelzebub ने, सेटन ने बीलज़ेबब कर ली, उसके पास बहुत सारे लोग आ गए बिकॉज़ उनको पता ही नहीं था कि गॉड की पावर क्या है। उनको लगता है इतने सारे एंजल्स सब डिफीट करके उनको नीचे ले आएँगे, ओके? Yes, contrasting with that image, हेल में कितना मतलब you think of hell, you think of chaotic, chaos, pandemonium. The word pandemonium means confusion, chaos, and bedlam, and all sorts of anarchy that you could think of. However, despite all the circumstances, despite the hell that they are living in, that's a lovely, lovely sort of a, you could say, a symbolic idea that he's trying to give, that despite living in hell, their grit, determination, perseverance is so strong, their minds are so fixated, so determined, that they are developing a sort of a disciplined atmosphere within that hell. Easier to maintain discipline in an easy environment, harder to maintain discipline in hell. ओके, घर पे जब शांति होती है तो इजीली आप पढ़ाई कर सकते हो, लेकिन जब अशांति हो और उसमें पढ़ाई कर लो, वो बहुत बड़ी बात है. दैट इज व्हाट दीज पीपल आर डूइंग. Okay, so the sheer size and power of the host fill him with pride and harden his resolve as he glories in their might. So he is very happy कि इतना ताकत है, इतना might है, इतना power है. We are happy. In his pride, Satan marvels at the unparalleled force he has gathered. Satan is proud that look at these people. These people have come for me. I'm the one to gather them. He declares that no human army ever assembled could compare to this one. He dismisses even the giant brood of Phlegra, a reference to the mythological giants who fought the gods in Greek mythology. Greek mythology पे बहुत सारे references and note करते जाना guys. Please make sure that you guys are noting all this. नहीं आएगा specific questions ऐसे नहीं आएंगे, लेकिन हाँ references आ सकता है. Okay, and the legendary armies of heroes who battle at Thebes and Troy, even the knights of Arthurian romance, Arthur's sons. Arthurian romance कब का है? 13th century के जो King Arthur legends हैं, वो जैसे हम लोग के पास भी कुछ लेजेंडरी टाइटल्स हैं, उनके पास किंग अर्थर थे. किंग अर्थर, उनके नाइट्स बड़े हीरो थे, यू नो, लाइक रॉबिन हुड, वो सबको बचाते थे, डैम्सल्स इन डिस्ट्रेस को एंड ऑल दैट. सो अर्थरियन रोमांस के even the knights of the Arthurian romance, Arthur's sons, surrounded by the British and Breton allies, pale in comparison to Satan's host. So Satan के जो लोग हैं, उनका कोई comparison ही नहीं है. Knights of the Round Table, exactly. Okay. Moving ahead, Milton uses this passage to elevate Satan's army to an almost mythical level. Okay, so he is using all the phrases that he could use to elevate their status and make the reader, just a second, guys. So Milton uses this passage to elevate Satan's army to an almost mythical level, drawing on reference to both classical mythology and medieval romance. Yet this grandeur is tinged with irony. Okay, so all this is still, it's ironical. Itna discipline hai, itna might hai, itna overwhelming number hai. It is, however, it is ironical. Why? Despite their fearsome might, despite their humongous might, their fearsome, जैसे डर लगे, fearsome might and organization, their discipline, the way they are organized, the fallen angels are ultimately engaged in a futile rebellion, a rebellion that is absolutely useless. Okay, just a second. I'm sorry for this. All right. Okay. Yeah, sorry. So, ultimately engage in a futile rebellion. So, it's a futile rebellion. Okay. तो futile, useless है, because ultimately God को हरा नहीं सकते. उनको पता है कि हमारे पास ताकत है, हमारे पास पावर है, कोई भी आर्मी हमसे compete नहीं कर सकती. However, still, this is all going to go to futility. Why? Because God is very powerful. Against the divine omnipotence. Omnipotence is the most powerful, no matter what. However, no matter what rebellion, what battles, he will win it. The imagery of dreadful length and dazzling arms contrasts with the ultimate moral and spiritual failure, underscoring Milton's theme of pride and its consequences. So, one thing I would really replace the word pride with arrogance, because arrogance is something that pulls you down, and that's something that's, I would say, karma or whatever that is, that this is the arrogance that he has, that I'm powerful, I'm powerful, I'm powerful. However, that power is just next to that sense of power is just next to arrogance that he has, and that arrogance is going to get to the most downfall. This is something that has been told to us so many times. I remember my grandmother, while teaching me Quran and all that, because बहुत सारे similar aspects हैं Quran और Bible में. So she's always like, takabbur, arrogance. You cannot have arrogance. Satan, shaitan had takabbur. Takabbur is an Urdu word for arrogance. So he's like, you cannot have. So this arrogance that he had, that was the one that pulled him down. Okay, so this is again a repeated theme, the sense of pride, the sense of arrogance. Pride is still, I would say, a little positive connotation. Arrogance this word has a very strong, negative connotations. So in this passage, and all who since baptized or infidel, until waiting revenge cruel his eyes but cast. Now in this passage from Paradise Lost, Book 1, Milton continues to glorify and critique Satan's fallen host. Okay, so Milton is glorifying. So he is actually adding all the glory. He's critiquing it in a very positive note. Okay, तो तरस आता है इन पे, मतलब इतना पावर, इतना माइट है, लेकिन जीतेंगे नहीं, क्योंकि गॉड का उन लोग का कोई तालमेल नहीं है ना, मतलब पावर में इतना इम्बैलेंस है. So the poet Milton alludes to historical and legendary warriors, both Christian and pagan, who fought in epic battles such as those of Esperimont, Montballon, Damascus, Morocco, Tresbin, or who sailed from the African shores of Biserta to fight in the epic battles involving Charlemagne and his knights, particularly the tragic defeat at Fontarabia. These comparisons elevate the might of Satan's army, emphasizing that their prowess surpasses even these legendary mortal forces. In a way, मिल्टन कितना ग्रैंड्योर दिखा रहा है, इतना ज्यादा उसमें पावर डाल रहा है, इतना ग्लोरीफाई कर रहा है. ही इज बेसिकली सेइंग दैट इतना पावर था कि कोई भी अभी तक जो आर्मी आज तक ह्यूमन रेस ने देखी उससे तो बहुत ही आगे था. एक मैथोलॉजिकल एलिमेंट डाल रहा है इनके ऊपर, एंड इन अ वे ही इज गिविंग देम अ वेरी हीरो स्टेटस. ओके, कि ये लोग हीरो थे, ये लोग इतने पावरफुल थे. सो हाउएवर, डिस्पाइट देयर अनमैच्ड स्ट्रेंथ, they remain subordinate. Unparalleled strength, unprecedented, unmatched strength they had. They couldn't have got it better. However, still they were subordinate to the one who was almighty. Okay, to their dread commander Satan. So of course they couldn't run, but they were subordinate, unmatched, and they remain subordinate. So he's talking about these evil angels, as in the fallen angels, that they were very powerful, very powerful. However, even this power that they had, of course, they will not win the battle, but this power, even that was subordinate to Satan, means Satan had double or triple the power that these fallen angels had. Okay, so this becomes a very important idea. Now Satan, their leader, stands towering above his legions. Okay, so now he's standing among all the fallen angels. Okay, he's there. So now the description comes of Satan, still retaining remnants of his original celestial majesty. He was in heaven. He was an angel. He had that privilege of being an angel living in with God in that paradise. Though he has now fallen, his form has not entirely lost its angelic brilliance. Milton likens him to the sun rising behind a mist, its rays dimmed but still radiant. Okay, so now look at the way Milton is describing him. तो यहीं से हमें आता है कि मिल्टन ने उसको कितना elevated status दिया है. Okay, so he is praising him constantly. He's worthy of appreciation. That is what Milton is saying. And this is from where the idea comes. The critiques say that for Milton, Satan is the hero of Paradise Lost. Milton is basically involving all known myths, historical ways, was to emphasize how the biblical fallen angels were beyond even all this, and also making those myths and histories about. Absolutely, very right, very rightly said, Prithvi, that that how he's basically using all his classical knowledge, learning Greek myths, biblical myths, in order to emphasize, underscore, highlight the fact that these fallen angels were class apart. They were invincible. Nobody could have made them when they had such might, they had such power, such determination. Still, this determination that these fallen angels had, this power that they had, this attitude that they had, this was still they were subordinate to the one that Satan had. Now imagine, अगर इतनी तारीफ करके बोल रहा है कि इनका तभी भी कम पावर था जितना सेटन का था, तो मतलब सेटन को एलिवेटेड स्टेटस पे डाल रहा है, राइट? एंड सेकेंडली रिबेलियन तो फ्यूटाइल था ना, क्योंकि ओमनीपोटेंट गॉड से तो कोई नहीं जीत सकता. ओके, so sun rising when its rays, or the sun during an eclipse. Okay, so Milton likens him to the sun rising behind a mist. Okay, so the Satan is like a sun rising behind a mist, like a ray of hope. Okay, so its rays dimmed but still radiant. मतलब बुझी हुई हैं, मतलब थोड़ी कम है रेज, लेकिन बुझा नहीं है, अभी तक शाइन है, वो रोशनी है उस सेटन में. Or the sun during an eclipse, casting an ominous twilight over nations and inspiring fear of change. This imagery underscores Satan's diminished glory. He is no longer the resplendent archangel he once was. So in a way, बोल रहा है कि अभी तक डिम नहीं हुआ है, तो ये लेकिन डिम नहीं हुआ, लेकिन कम हो गया है. जब वो एक एक्चुअली आर्च एंजल था, जब वो सच्ची में गॉड के साथ रहता था, तो ही वॉज ल्यूमिनस, ही वॉज ब्राइट, ही वॉज फुल ऑफ लाइफ. However, now, what is he trying to do? Underscore Satan's diminished glory. अब तो हेल में आ गया, diminished glory, but even in his ruin, वो ruined है, वो बर्बाद हो गया है, उसको गॉड ने बेदखल कर दिया है, and he has been casted down in hell. However, still in this bedlam, in this ruin, in the hell that he is living, he still shines above the rest of the fallen spirits. So we could see that the one who created this uproar, this rebellion, has got that power within him. Satan's physical scars reflect the consequences of his rebellion. तो Satan को physical scars भी हैं, ऐसा नहीं है कि उसको चोट नहीं लगी, physically wounded है. Okay, so the deep scars of thunder etched on his face serve as a reminder of his defeat at the hands of God. Faded cheeks, his faded cheeks. Okay, now it's coming to his physiognomy, that how his facial features all were affected because of this war. His faded cheeks bear the marks of suffering and regret, yet his expressions remain one of courage and defiant pride. So can you see a wounded hero, a wounded soldier being tried to depict here, that बहुत चोट लगी है, लेकिन तभी भी वो courage, वो pride नहीं गया, करना है मुझे, I have to fight. He's got that determination. Beneath his commanding exterior lies a cruel resolve for revenge against God. So now, no matter how wounded it is, but he has got that resolve, that no matter what, I got to fight this God. Tempered by fleeting signs of remorse and compassion as he gazes upon his followers. These followers, once glorious spirits who shared in heaven's bliss, who all were very happy, these fallen angels who were very happy in heaven, they are now condemned to eternal suffering because of Satan's rebellion. Despite their fall, they have not complained about their situation. They're still very loyal to him. So these evil spirits, they want to impart evil in the world, but they are not evil within themselves. Why? Because loyalty is something that they have, especially for Satan. They are very loyal. So in a way, they remain loyal to him, standing faithfully by his side, though their glory is irreversibly withered. irreversibly. It's irreparable. The loss is irreparable. They cannot go back. They cannot do anything. So it's withered. It's not in their control. Their shine has diminished. Their glory, their power, everything has dissipated. It has diminished because of rebellion. However, still they hold on to Satan and saying that, yes, we are very close to him and we will remain loyal. So Milton presents Satan as a complex figure, very charismatic, very proud, heroic in his defiance. He's very defiant. He's like, I'm supposed to win this battle no matter what. Yet responsible for the damnation of countless angels. So उसने उसको इतना बात का रिग्रेट नहीं है. वो कह रहा है कि मैं अपनी आर्मी को फिर से मोटिवेट करूंगा, फिर से एनकरेज करूंगा, सब के सब में वापस से वही जोश आ जाएगा. उसको नहीं रिग्रेट है. So he's responsible for the downfall, but he doesn't regret that. The tension between his lingering greatness and his tragic downfall embodies the theme of pride and the devastating consequence of rebellion against divine authority. The consequences are devastating because so many angels are suffering only because of Satan's rebellion. This passage captures the somber grandeur of Satan and the tragic loyalty of his followers, illustrating the moral and spiritual cost of his revolt. Next. As when heaven's fire had scattered the forest oaks or mountain pines, comes to hateful to utter, but what power of mind. Now, Milton uses very powerful imagery to describe Satan as he prepares to address his fallen legions. Okay, so Milton uses very powerful imagery. What is he saying? He's comparing Satan to a mighty oak or pine tree, very tall tree, oak tree, pine tree, tallest trees, okay? Scarred and singed by lightning, but still standing tall in a barren, desolate landscape. These are the elements which will be used to describe that how and why is Satan a hero in Paradise Lost. So can you see? This is how it's to be done. This metaphor reflects Satan's enduring stature, his defiance, his revolt, his rebellion, his determination that I will stand against God even if I'm not supposed to win it. Despite his fall and the scars of divine punishment, his army who's also loyal, defiant, motivated, disciplined, ready for his command, arranged in double ranks from wing to wing, surrounded him in reverent silence, not indiscipline. Reverent silence is something respect, with great deep respect, with great love for Satan, with loyalty in their heart, with the idea that no matter what, will stand by Satan. Hanging on his every word as he begins to speak. अभी जब इसकी speech आएगी ना, speech सुनना कितनी powerful speech है Satan की, very powerful speech. Satan struggles to find his voice. He's overcome with grief and rage at their dire situation. So he looks at these people. कहीं ना कहीं तो he's of course moved by the fact that this condition is by them. Those को regret नहीं होगा, बस वो move हो रहा है. इसको पता है जो उसने किया वो किया. But he's getting moved by maybe their loyalty, their faith in him, their reverence that they are giving at every point of time. So he struggles to find his voice, overcome with grief and rage at the dire situation. Thrice he attempts to speak. 3 times he tries to speak, but he's choked. Maybe he's so overwhelmed. He has some emotions in his heart. And thrice he's interrupted by tears such as angels weep. Okay, so कितना दुख हो रहा है ना, सुनने में बुरा लग रहा है, right? कि अरे बेचारा कितना रो रहा है, कितना परेशान हो रहा है. अरे, God is like, God का और उसका कोई competition नहीं है. Okay, you feel for Satan here that he's struggling so hard. At one point of time, maybe you want him to win. No, you don't want him to win, right? So, okay. So tears such as angels weep, a poignant image that highlights the depth of his sorrow, even as it contrasts with his pride and defiance. At last, his words emerge interwoven with sighs as he addresses the vast assembly of fallen angels. 3 बार बोलने की कोशिश की, तीनों बार चोक में इतना परेशान होके बेचारा वो बोल नहीं पाया. Tears, he's looking at them. उसके बाद फिर वो address करता है अपने लोगों को. He begins by acknowledging the former glory as myriads of immortal spirits. Okay, ये जो जितने भी मैंने quotes में डाले हैं, थोड़ा सा याद कर लेना. As myriads of immortal spirits, okay, and matchless powers. So कहते हैं you all were So there were so many myriads, so many, several immortal spirits, their matchless powers, unparalleled power that you all had, rivaled only by the Almighty Himself. Satan recalls their rebellion, framing it not as a shameful but as a noble, although failed struggle against divine authority. This is running so parallel to Oliver Cromwell's rebellion, whom he won for a particular period of time, but फिर तो फेल हो गए, तो कह रहा है कि ठीक है रिबेलियन फेल हो गया क्योंकि ओलिवर क्रॉमवेल को तो मार डाला गया था। कह रहे रिबेलियन फेल हो गया, सब खत्म हो गया, हम लोग की ये दुर्दशा हो गई, हम लोग की ये हालत हो गई। However, still I'm proud of the fact that I did rebel. I created an uproar in heaven. Okay, so he acknowledges the dire consequences of the defeat, and the consequences are they're living in hell, as evidenced by the fall into hell, but emphasizes that the failure was unimaginable given the strength of the united forces. He marvels that such a mighty host, which emptied heaven with their exile, could ever have been repulsed. So he marveled that such a mighty host which emptied heaven with their exile. He's like now he's wondering that how could God do that? Satan then instills a sense of hope and determination, questioning whether it is truly impossible for these powerful legends to reascend to heaven and reclaim their former glory. So पहले वो सोचता है कि ऐसा हो सकता है कि हम सब लोग फिर से heaven में जाके अपनी glory को reclaim कर लें. His words reveal his unyielding pride and refuse to accept defeat as he seeks to inspire his followers with the possibility of redemption through their own strength and resilience. फिर वो कहता है नहीं, हमें रिडेम्पशन मिलेगा लेकिन खुद के दम पे मिलेगा. वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू गो ऑन मर्सी ऑफ गॉड. ओके, सो एरोगेंस देखो. The passage masterfully captures Satan's complexity, his charm, his charisma, his pride, his grief. दुख भी तो है कि क्या हालत है हमारी. And unrelenting defiance. Okay, and this defiance कि करना ही है, मुझे rebel करना ही है, against खड़ा रहना ही है, मैं नहीं हाथ मिलाऊंगा. Okay. And sets the stage for the fallen angels' resolve to continue the rebellion against God. Now, for me, it witnessed all the host of heaven, if counts as different or danger shunned, a generation whom he choice regard. Now, Satan addresses his followers. Okay, addresses his followers. He reflects on their defeat and laying the groundwork for a new strategy against God. Okay, अब इन लोग को पता है कि this strategy of going and getting engaged in a battle नहीं चलेगा God के साथ. कुछ और strategy ढूंढनी, कुछ manipulate करना है, scheme बनानी कि इसको कैसे हराया जाए. So he begins by asserting his innocence in leading the rebellion, stating that no counsel of his was motivated by fear or avoidance of danger. Instead, he implies that the fall was a result of God's hidden strength. कहते हैं ऐसा नहीं कि हम लोग कमजोर हैं, ऐसा नहीं कि मेरे किसी भी एंजल के अंदर ताकत कम है, सब बहुत माइटी हैं, बहुत पावरफुल हैं, बहुत सबके पास सब कुछ है टू विन द वॉर. हाउएवर हमको नहीं पता था कि गॉड के पास कितनी स्ट्रेंथ है. व्हाट अ वंडरफुल लीडर. A question can come. Talk about that how wonderful leader this Satan was. Imagine एक हारी हुई टीम को क्या मोटिवेशन मिल रहा है कि हम लोग को पता नहीं था उनकी ताकत का अंदाजा क्या है. कोई बात नहीं, अब अंदाजा हो गया, फिर से प्रिपेयर करेंगे, फिर से उनको अटैक करेंगे. Okay, what a lovely way to motivate the team. Okay, so God hidden strength के बारे में नहीं पता था, which was not apparent when they chose to rise against him. Question can 100% come and elucidate on the fact that how Satan was an impeccable leader, fantastic leader. ओके, अगर वो ऐसा लीडर ना होता ना, इतना एलिक्वेंट ना बोलता, इतना अच्छे से एक्सप्रेस ना करता, इतना मैनिपुलेटिव ना होता, इतना स्कीमिंग ना होता, ओके, तो वो सेटन की आर्मी कुछ कर ही ना पाती. बट ही वाज अ वंडरफुल लीडर, ही वाज अ ग्रेट ओरेटर. दैट इज व्हाट मिल्टन इज गिविंग. कितना ओरेटरी स्पीच दिया उसको. Satan criticizes God's rule as being sustained by old repute. ओके, जैसे मोनार्की है, ओल्ड रिप्यूट, पहले के रेपुटेशन पे चलता आ रहा है. Custom and consent rather than openly demonstrated power. This apparent vulnerability tempted their rebellion, but their defeat revealed the full extent of God's might as well as the limits of their own. So उसको वहां पे पता चला कि God की might क्या है, खुद की क्या limitations है, ये भी तो पता चला. Acknowledging this newfound understanding of their relative power, Satan advises against provoking another direct war. कहता अब हमें पावर पता है कि इनकी क्या पावर है, कोई फायदा नहीं है कि हम लोग जो हैं यस फैशिस्ट। अब तो मुझे तो लगता है कि आधी से ज्यादा दुनिया के एप्स्टीन फाइल्स देखो, वो तो अलग ही गेम है, पता नहीं क्या गेम है, वो क्या है, क्या सच, क्या एआई, where the world is going. मुझे लगता है post COVID the world has gone on another toss. Every second person in news is Satan. Okay, so you never know what's Illuminati, what's there, what's not there. Somebody talking about that he also ordered cloth of the Kaaba and he used it as a carpet, or some theories are there कि उसने religious text के verses इधर उधर किए. God knows what's happening, and you in this age and in this time you just cannot know who is Satan and who is not. All right, so these concepts are something that it's there, but fascists were absolutely cruel, completely cruel, absolute diabolical, evil, cruel, who did not have any mercy on even children. So what did Netanyahu did? He did the same. And maybe, what did this guy Epstein did? He did the same, right? It feels like the person whose true side isn't. God knows. I don't know if anyone is a saint or if no one is a saint or if everyone is a saint. This world has gone for a toss. That is what we know for sure. So that is true. So, however, now look at this. Now look at Milton writing this. It's blasphemous, in a way. If we talk about this, could also be a question. Comment on how Paradise Lost is that's blasphemy, is blasphemous. What is blasphemous? Wherein you are, kind of putting God in a situation wherein you're questioning God. यहाँ पे जैसे जैसे हम लोग पढ़ेंगे, ये टेक्स्ट में क्या आएगा ना, सेटन की तारीफें लग रहा है कर रहा है मिल्टन. सेटन को हम लोग के अंदर एक सिंपैथी पैदा होती है कि यार सेटन जीत जाए, सेटन ने कितना, बेचारे ने कितना सफर किया, गॉड को देखो इतनी पावर है, कोई कंपैरिजन नहीं, क्या जरूरत है उससे लड़ने की. Okay, so this could also be a question, that comment on how Paradise Lost as blasphemous. Why? Because it is siding with the evil in a way. It is giving a picture, it is describing Satan as the hero. Okay, so blasphemy could also be a question. So Satan advises against provoking another direct war. He's very smart. He shifts his focus to a new approach, advocating for the use of fraud and guile, subtlety and deception. तो कहता है fraud करो, गाइल, कनिंगनेस, गाइल, फ्रॉड करो, कनिंगनेस करो, जाके लड़ोगे फिजिकली कुछ नहीं हो पाएगा. सटलिटी एंड डिसेप्शन, सटली करो, डिसीव करके करो, छुप के करो, कुछ भी करके करो. डायरेक्ट तो नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन अपना दिमाग लगाना पड़ेगा. यहाँ पे वो सब कुछ कह रहा है, यूज योर ब्रेन्स टू अचीव व्हाट ओपन फोर्स कुड नॉट, ओपन बैटल कुड नॉट. Satan argues that merely overpowering an enemy by strength does not constitute a complete victory. And also, the battle that is actually fought with the mind is anytime more powerful than the one that is fought physically. And this guy knows the game. So the enemy must also be defeated mentally, morally, not just physically, but mentally, morally bhi unko defeat kar do. A goal he now aims to achieve against God. Sorry, yeah. Then you have Satan then alludes to a new creation that God is rumored to plan. अब यहाँ पे creation, अब यहाँ पे ideas की बात होंगी. book 2 में तो बड़े ideas है. यहाँ पे बात करता है कि मैंने सुना है कि God ने कुछ नई चीज बनाई है. Okay, and that is of course Adam and Eve. So वो कहता है Okay, Satan then talks about a new creation that God is rumored to plan, a new world, a new generation of beings who will be favored as equal to the angels. तो सबसे तो close angels है God के, लेकिन जब Adam and Eve बनाया, तो even angels were supposed to say कि bow down in front of Adam and Eve. Okay, तो ये वाली बात थी, तो Adam and Eve were very close to God. So this knowledge inspires Satan to consider different kind of rebellion. तो उसने बोला कि अब रिबेलियन में इस गेम में खेलूंगा. ओके, one aimed at corrupting this new creation and undermining God's plans from within. तो अब because God ने इनको बनाया होगा and God is goodness, गॉड ने बोला होगा कि अच्छा करो, अच्छा करो, अच्छा करो, अब मैं इनसे बुरा करवाऊंगा, तभी तो मैं जीतूंगा. So this passage highlights Satan's cunning and adaptability, his scheming mind, his manipulative mind, as he shifts from direct defiance to a more insidious, hidden, that's within, implicit, manipulative approach, whereas in scheming, plotting against God. It also underscores his arrogance and refusal to accept defeat. ये नहीं बोला कि चलो चल के यार माफी मांग लेते हैं, खत्म करो, चैन से सुकून से हेवन में रहते हैं, गॉड के पास माफ कर देंगे, गॉड सब सही रहेगा और रिबेल नहीं करेंगे. वो कहते हैं नहीं, बेटर टू रेन इन हेल दैन टू be a servant in heaven. वो कहते हैं ना, better reign in hell than to serve in hell, heaven. So this is something too that he repeatedly says, and says that I refuse to accept defeat. I seek to exploit opportunities to continuous rebellion through deceit and sabotage. Sabotage करना है उसको, चीजों को difficult situation में डालना है, danger में डालना है. And his speech lays a foundation for Satan's eventual decision to corrupt humankind, setting the stage for the events that follow in Milton's epic. Then comes thither if but to pry shall be perhaps our first eruption thither or elsewhere, and goes down to belch fire and rolling smoke the rest. Satan boldly declares his intent to continue the rebellion against God despite their imprisonment. वो बहुत determined है. He hints at a plan to make the first eruption into the rumored new creation of God, either to spy on it or to disrupt it. उसने अच्छा, they were not even allowed to go near the place where Adam and Eve. जब Satan जाता है ना, बहुत मुश्किलों से जाता है, आसान नहीं होता है वहां तक जाना, लेकिन वो जाता है, किसी तरह जाता है. And he says to new creation, Satan defiantly proclaims that the infernal pit, that is, infernal is hell, hell hole, the hell pit that they're living in, cannot contain celestial spirits forever, and that the darkness of hell cannot permanently obscure their potential. तो कहता है कि yes, hell में celestial spirits रह नहीं सकती, लेकिन हमें कब तक ये बुझाएंगी. Yet he admits that such ideas require careful planning, plotting, and council meetings. And you need discussion, you need brainstorming for this plan to execute to corrupt mankind. He rejects any notion of peace or submission. No peace, no submission. I'm very arrogant. I'm not going to bow down in front of God and ask for forgiveness, not at all. Okay? So declaring that war, either open conflict or an insidious one, or an implicit conflict, covert rebellion must be their only resolution. So no matter what, we are going to rebel against him. To underscore his resolve, Satan's words are met with an awe-inspiring response. Millions of flaming swords are drawn by the mighty cherubim, the light illuminating the gloom of hell. Imagine when these words are articulated, everybody gets charged up. Hail, hail Satan. Wow, amazing. Well said, Satan. We are going to fight. We're not going to bow down. Okay, so this is how he's charging them up. This sudden display of martial readiness fills the infernal host with fiery zeal. This infernal host, infernal king, that is Satan. बड़ी उसको खुशी मिलती, बड़ी zeal आ जाती है उसके अंदर. The fallen angels clash their shields. उनके पास shields, they're clashing it, they're making a noise, they're saying everybody is unanimously and going ahead with what Satan is talking about, creating a deafening din as they hurl defiance and challenge towards heaven, and expressing their fury. So this is also how they're expressing their anger, their fury against the injustice of God. How is it injustice? He never showed his power. He never told the angels that how powerful he is. And determination to oppose God despite their own fallen state. The scene then shifts to a nearby hill in hell, whose grisly top spews fire and rolling smoke, a volcanic symbol of the destructive force at play in the rim. तो एक imagery आई है volcano की imagery. The hill's glossy surface, that is जो hill का volcano का, you can say the glossy surface है, it's coated with sulfur, hints at hidden metallic ores within, lava, that is that garam lava, suggesting that the fallen angels may use these resources to forge for weapons for their war. Okay, तो इसी से लोग weapons बना सकते हैं. This volcanic imagery reinforces the setting of hell as a place of both desolation and latent power. अकेला तो है लेकिन स्टिल उनके पास पावर है कितना कुछ करने की. Where the fallen angels prepare for the next move against divine authority. Milton vividly captures this defiance and pride of Satan. So Milton knows that he is defiant, but look at the way he's capturing this, and his followers emphasizing their unyielding determination despite their apparent defeat. The imagery of fire weapons, volcanic landscape, and the deafening clash of arms highlights the grandeur and futility of their rebellion, and this sets the stage for the continued conflict with God and his creation. So Abhi, Satan is not going to let anything go. He is making sure that everything goes in his favor. Of course, they are not going to physically combat God, but give more of manipulation, scheming, plotting, implicit ways to make sure that he loses every time. So before you do anything wrong, remember there is Satan who's telling you, do it, do it, do it. If you want God to win, don't do it. All right. So this is how the story is telling us. So guys, with this, I'm coming to an end. If anyone has any questions, we have just one more part of book 1 left, and then we will be moving ahead to that book 2 in this coming week. All right. So if anyone has any question, you guys can ask me right now in the comment section, please.